We are proud to announce that the Foreign Report is officially the owner of and manager of the Strait of Hormuz.
Woo!
We're going to tell you why and how we did it today on the Foreign Report. Let's do it. Welcome to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena Ghaznavi. This is your weekly foreign policy show that gives you all the gory details of geopolitics with hopefully some laughs along the way. Travis Irvine back in studio.
We are so back.
So back, baby.
We are so back.
We're at peak FIFA. Lindsey Graham is dead. There's Mitch McConnell is extremely dead.
Not dead.
The Walking Dead. We've got what I think is going to be an outbreak of World War III that's happening.
Oh, good.
It's like such a crazy show today. NATO, we're going to talk about some NATO stuff. NATO summit. Remember I talked about that last week? Everyone thought it was boring, but I'll tell you what. I mean, I just felt it in the Matrix. They were like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about NATO," but I was right about everything.
Yeah.
Then there's Russia cyber attacks. So like, wow, packed show. As of now, Spain is beating France.
Right. We will have a World Cup update.
We'll have a World Cup update.
But obviously, by the time the show drops, we'll know the last two teams.
We'll know the finals.
Yeah. So
wow.
we'll just talk about how great of a World Cup it's been.
Yeah, how fair and balanced.
That's what FIFA stands for.
Yeah.
Fair and more fair.
More fair. The fairest of them all. Travis, woo!
Where do you want to start?
It's been crazy.
It's a whirlwind out there.
You know, we're back to war. I just want you to know.
I thought it was over.
Well,
it's also not a war.
It was a conflict. And I had to do that in a meeting the other day. And I actually said to these people, because I made a video about the war, and they made me call it a conflict. And I was like, okay, yeah, this video went well. And let me just say, not a conflict. It's definitely a war.
This video wasn't even a video.
Yeah.
Podcast, not even a podcast.
So remember, I think it was maybe 2 episodes ago, maybe even 3.
I've lost track.
Where I said the 14-point memorandum of understanding.
I remember us talking about the memorandum of understanding.
Well, call me Miss Cleo, because, baby, I had a feeling.
Whoa.
That this memo was up to no good.
That's a good 90s reference right there, Miss Cleo. Oh, my gosh.
This ceasefire is toast. I was like, you know, when we did that episode, I was like, oh, man, I really should have, like, prepared more and really taken people through all the points of the memorandum. And then the other part of me was like, nah, man, this is out.
It won't matter by Friday, usually.
This is going to be, like, out of here. So we did, like, a light dusting of it. And you know what? Daddy was right. Your FPZ on the money.
Woo!
The ceasefire, gone.
Gone.
So, you know, is it toast? Or is it merely drowning in the Strait of Hormuz as Chinese oil ships kind of sail right over it?
So a wet piece of bread.
It's very wet, soggy. It's coming apart at the bottom of the strait. But does this mean, Travis, that Iran owns the strait?
I don't know anymore. I thought they always did.
Well, it was free for a while, and then they were like owning it. But no, Trump actually owns the strait.
Wait, what?
Yeah, let's watch.
Over the strait. They have nothing. They've got nothing. So something that nobody knows. Yesterday they had an 11-hour meeting. Everything's 11 hours with these guys. You know, you can't settle a one sentence in 1 hour and 1 minute. It should be 1 minute.
What?
I don't think that's true.
We own it.
Yesterday, and they leave the room, and they call back, and they say, we had to make a couple of changes. I said, changes? They got to make changes? We're not going to make changes. Always changes. They just, they're professional negotiators. That's all they are. I don't even call them good at it. They haven't gotten anything. They got nothing from me. But if you look for 47 years, they've been tapping people along, presidents. Every president got tapped along, didn't do anything, and they became more and more powerful. This should have been done 47 years ago. Shouldn't have been allowed to start. But Clinton let him go, and Bush let him go. Everybody let him go, and Obama was the worst of all because Obama actually went to their side. Obama, because, he's let's not say, let's not say. Let's leave that for another time. He was terrible.
What?
All right. I can't listen to him.
It sounds like when my grandpa would just wake up and like talk about what he was eating for breakfast.
Yeah.
He's just rattling off
It
words.
just started just slowly floating away into whatever his
And
subconscious
Obama
was telling him
is
to do.
clearly, well, I can't say that word on TV, can I?
So, in honor of President Trump saying that they own the strait now, that the United States own the strait,
It's our strait.
it is now the prerogative of the Foreign Report. We own the strait.
We own the strait.
We are now managing the Strait of Hormuz.
Give us that money, baby.
Please Venmo Henry Zabrowski $50
Yes.
and say Strait of Hormuz.
Yes. He'll know what it's for.
He'll know. This is, we own it, okay? We're going to manage it, and so you just have to listen to our show while you're going through the strait. That's the rule.
That's the fee.
That's the fee.
We get a little
It's not a
YouTube.
toll.
We get a little YouTube ad money from it.
Exactly.
That's all you got to do, folks.
This is how we're going to pump our numbers up, making people going through the Strait of Hormuz listen to the show. They should, frankly.
I mean, I think they'd be entertained.
They'd be like, Hassan, they're talking about us.
Oh, how fun. Who's Miss Cleo?
So Monday, Trump announced that they own the strait, and here we sit on Tuesday. But
Okay.
why? Okay.
Yeah, why did he say that?
All right, Travis, ever since our nation's great Independence Day, the most perfect Independence Day, most perfect America 250th anniversary show that's ever been produced.
Ever. No weather problems.
No weather problems, no falling lights, no parachuter that fell through a tent.
Right.
Incredible, top-notch performing artists, all the peak of their game. So after that, July 6th and 7th, Iran opens fire and hits 3 commercial ships, a Saudi flag tanker and a Qatari liquefied natural gas tanker, to force traffic from a different lane of the strait into its own. Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
We talked about how there was the Strait of Hormuz, and it's going to be administered and managed by the IRGC in Iran and Oman. The MOU said everyone's going to go through the kind of IRGC side of the strait.
Okay, so it's a pretty
During
big
this
strait.
time. They're not going to collect a management fee or a toll during these 60 days, but you just got to go through this lane, the non-Oman lane, if you will.
Okay, non-Oman.
So what? Oman.
Oman! Oh me, oh my, Oman. I'm so excited for the musical.
So Trump has been, and the United States has been, and I'm sure Israel as well, has been saying, hey, just take the other lane. Just take the other lane.
All right.
And
See how this
that goes in the face of the MOU. And they said, basically, you have violated the terms of the MOU. And so that's what caused them to fire on these tankers.
Oman, you violated the MOU.
Not Oman.
No, I mean, I said Oman.
Oh, Oman. Sorry.
I was saying Oman.
The
You
the
violated
puns.
the MOU.
You punned it right over me.
I punned you, baby.
So July 7th, CENTCOM strikes 80-plus targets in Iran. Iran retaliates against U.S. facilities in Bahrain and Kuwait. No casualties. These were intercepted. That's when Trump says, he was in Ankara, I believe, truce is over.
It's over. 80 strikes. What is this? Bowling? Truth. Did he truth social this truce?
Yes,
Yeah,
I try
okay.
not to look at it, but then you read an article, they're like, he said on truth. It's like, what a mess.
Okay.
July 8th, U.S. hits 90 targets, including Chabahar Traffic Control Tower and the IRGC, the Navy barracks in Shiraz.
Okay.
Iran fires back at Bahrain, Kuwait, and a U.S. airbase in Jordan. All of these were intercepted, so we blocked off. So now Trump revokes. Remember, when the U.S. or any of our allies intercept these missiles, it costs them a lot more to intercept it than it costs Iran to fire them and make them and all that stuff. So now Trump then revokes the Iran oil waiver. So now they're getting sanctioned again.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so now this whole thing. July 9th, Iran strikes Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar, and then there was a response from the Gulf states.
Uh-oh.
This time it was the UAE and Saudi Arabia this time, and Iran blames UAE. this time they actually struck inside of Iran this time. They struck like a airstrip on an airport. The United Nations also reported that in other strikes, 6,000 seafarers were stranded, evacuations were frozen, and 14 people were dead across the provinces inside Iran.
Whew.
July 10th, U.S. sanctions Mojtaba Khamenei's financier, which is not Jeffrey Epstein, oddly enough, and 13 other people. Iran negotiators quietly float this whole rogue faction story to keep talks alive. That, I found out, is not really true.
Not true.
It's apparently a story that Trump and Hegseth have been feeding to various news outlets.
Oh, my God.
To make it seem like Iran's like, no, my friend, like, it's okay. We want to make a deal. But really, they're just playing the game.
Okay.
And so
it's like we're talking to multiple people in Iran who may be in charge of Iran, but actually none of that's true.
I think earlier on, you can make a better argument that there was a lot of disruption and factioning happening.
Ahmadinejad, they were going to maybe pump him up to the top.
All this stuff, I think they have coalesced around the fact that they have won this thing, or they have the leverage.
Right.
And so they're all much more unified in this sense. Iran's own press TV denies it, which doesn't really matter. And then Iran threatened to add the UAE to its target bank, which is weird because they've already been targeting them. So I don't know what that means at all.
Okay.
July 11th.
Man, what a week.
This is crazy.
This is the most news that's ever happened in a week, at least for this show.
And it's not getting reported. It's just like now we're numb to it, by the way.
Yeah. I missed the majority of this news.
It's like, I don't even know if it's making news yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like stuff that's just happening now. So on July 11th, the biggest wave yet, the IRGC hits a Cyprus flag tanker, GFS Galaxy, like the soccer team, I suppose, with an anti-ship
LA Galaxy, but
cruise missile. Oh, sorry. Then CENTCOM strikes 140 targets in one night, and they target inside central Iran. This is the night that completes CENTCOM's 300-plus strikes over 3 nights.
Jesus.
9th, 10th, 11th. Which, by the way, after all those strikes and all the ones we did in March, did the regime collapse?
I don't know.
Did everyone just say, you know what, this is not a good idea?
Did we take out their navy yet? I keep hearing how we obliterated their navy in a month.
All those pirates. Those Persian pirates.
This is so crazy. So the truce is definitely over.
This is absolutely over.
What do you mean?
If it wasn't over before,
Yeah.
it's over now.
It's so over now.
Okay,
dude.
and then Iran strikes back, and
What the F? What the F?
they're
There's
all
so
over.
many. So this is just
Yes.
the whole Middle East now is in.
I did want to
Everyone's in for a penny, in for a pound.
Well, this is the thing we're going to get to now. So Iran fires back again at Bahrain and Jordan on the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time since April. They also fired at Qatar and Oman. Just the day before, they were in Muscat meeting with the Qataris and the Omanis and holding talks with them. And then the next day, they bombed them.
Oy.
So then the U.S. conducted more straits around the Strait of Hormuz. This time they were targeting like a depot where a lot of weapons were coming in the northern part of the strait. Those were things that, like, my mom was sending me Instagram videos of like geopolitical stuff. It's very funny. July 13th, the U.S. now, that's yesterday. We're at to yesterday now.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. said
As of this recording,
it's tolling a 20% fee for safe passage. Why? Because Chinese vessels during this time were still able to traverse the strait.
man, those Chinese.
Yeah.
Woof.
And so the United States is now charging for a protection racket, which is weird because still, as we've talked about, if you're an insurance company and you've got an oil tanker and you're like a U.S. company, you're not going to send a tanker through no matter who. If Pete Hegseth or Donald Trump are like, I got you, like, no, that's not going to be comforting.
So now everyone's just charging a toll?
Yes. That's why we own the street. We're charging a
We
toll.
own.
Yeah, send $50 to add
Foreign Report.
to add Hrabowski. Yeah.
Got it. Damn.
Yeah.
So this is a mess.
Yo, what do you mean?
I'm just Every day. And was anyone bombed today as of this? I mean,
Well, the 14th. This is today.
This is
But like
today.
they're ahead of us time wise.
what about 13th? Was anyone bombed then?
Yeah. That's what I said. That's what. Oh wait. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I'm just
I
like,
think so.
maybe the bombing finally stopped. And
Well-
they're back to, we don't know.
It did happen tonight, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. struck 6 coastal sites. Iran fired cruise missiles
Okay.
to 2 UAE-backed tankers.
So every day there's more bombs.
So many bombs
Wow.
and cruise missiles. Some were intercepted. By the way, crude oil up to $84 a gallon. So now, again,
Love it.
why not? We control the strait.
Okay.
So
Send us a fee.
send us the fee. We own it. Now, as all this was happening, Trump was in Ankara for NATO.
Right. I remember us covering that. See, that's the thing. I remember us talking about that last week
Yeah.
while all this other crazy shit was happening.
Yes, because it was like, I don't even know. I didn't even know. That's why I made a
It wasn't
timeline
It wasn't on my radar either.
because I couldn't figure out how much was happening.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we did that. Feel free to rewind. And if someone wants to
Listen
make
to
a
it again.
timeline
Yeah.
for me, that'd be great.
Yeah. I'm looking at my calendar now. I'm just like, oh wow, that was a busy week. What was I doing? Oh, I was I had a show. I had a comedy show.
But Trump got word from Israel that there was an assassination plot against him. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, another one?
Can't imagine. But the New York Times put out the scoop that the U.S. Secret Service had to do this massive plane switch because the $400 million retrofitted Qatari Air Force One that he was in, somehow, even though we spent millions of dollars retrofitting it, did not have the anti-missile defense system that the classic OG Air Force One does.
What?
So they had to switch planes,
I mean,
which
hey.
Trump was very upset about.
Oh yeah, he hates switching planes. But also, if the Qataris were trying to assassinate Trump this way, that's how you get him.
Yeah,
Give him a
exact-
free plane
Yeah.
that's gonna just it's a dump.
I think it's like you could do that Ocean's 11 thing and give him the gold phone, like that Apple gold phone, you know, whatever. I mean, we're not talking about
Right,
this.
right. We're not
This is
talking
a
about
satirical show.
Yeah, satirical comedy.
Comedy. The Justice Department, though,
Also comedy.
went after the New York Times reporters that put up this story.
Oh really?
And they literally
Wait.
they put grand jury subpoenas on them. So they went and tried to scare them into giving up their sources.
Okay.
Yes. So, Travi.
And that's an ongoing thing because I know Hegseth called a bunch of people in. There's another
Exactly.
one of his. I need all the generals here.
If you are a terrible leader, you will have leaks.
Yeah.
That is what happens.
Why did somebody tell him that?
It's like every president has some leaks, but you can really gauge
Yeah.
how good of a job you're doing by the number of leaks.
Yes. If there's no leaks, you're doing a good job.
Obama had Ed Snowden,
Sure.
right? That was Snowden, right?
Sure.
And then there were
John Kiriakou.
John
He
Kiriakou.
leaked during Bush.
Yeah,
But then it was Obama's administration that put him in jail.
yeah.
Bush had a bunch of leakers
Bunch of leakers.
because it was an awful administration.
Exactly. Then you have this administration constantly.
Yeah.
It is a constant flow of leaks coming out. So, a couple follow-ups.
Okay.
First, China, the price of oil has still maintained, it's not super high right now. It's
But
like
it's going up.
it is going up, but it like the difference between what the supply was before the war and now is like 40% drop, right?
Okay.
And so China is the world's largest importer of oil. Now, China did something really weird. They did not go and try to buy oil during this time. They cut back on their purchasing of oil.
Somebody's
Now,
planning ahead.
Now, Travi, why do you think they did that?
Well, I know they're building a bunch of solar panels.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, if you need less oil, you got other ways to power your stuff.
But they knew that if they went into the market and said, we want all of this oil, and they bought it for whatever price, the price of oil would have spiked. And who would that have hurt most? The United States.
Oh.
So it's this weird thing of if we're all into this US v China type thing, why didn't China take a very easy win and completely destabilize the United States economy.
That's a good question. So if they went and just bought all the oil, that would screw over us.
Totally.
Literally us. US.
Because their supply dropped dramatically. So they have a lot of stockpile. But why didn't they do this? One theory that I've been reading, tinfoil hat, here we go.
Ooh, Comedy Network also.
Trump and Xi met at that place in China.
Yeah.
Trump went there.
How long ago was that?
That was like a month ago or 2 months ago, a month and a half, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they struck some sort of
Deal?
some agreement.
But Trump's so bad at deals
But
and agreements.
But I think she was like, we can destroy you,
Mm-hmm.
but what if we didn't?
Mm-hmm.
And you shut up when we walk into Taiwan
Ooh, wow.
or something like,
We'll save you in Iran if you ignore Taiwan. It rhymes too.
because the big thing that people keep saying that are like Trump is like a 3-dimensional chess genius.
I've never believed that.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. The
He's
thing,
not good at any sports.
No.
Not even golf.
oh, remember when he was like, and I'm a really good sportsman and I don't know what a red card is, but
Of course he doesn't.
it's like,
Of course he doesn't.
anyway, so all these people are like, U.S. is doing these moves to like mess with China. But if that's the case, then why didn't China just take the alley-oop and dunk on us?
Mm-hmm.
Something to think about.
Well, and what's your pontification?
I think they made a deal where it was just like, we're going to still compete against each other, which is what a lot of like, Biden's way, a lot of the kind of way of working with China was like, let's compete, but let's also have some level set rules and stuff like that.
Sure.
I think Trump is trying to do this spheres of control thing and saying, I'll let you do what you want
Oh, in Asia.
Because
he wants the Americas.
Yes.
I keep reading about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then don't mess with the price of oil.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take care of it. We'll take care of our hemisphere. Which is weird too, because the price of oil going up, we're a net exporter, the United States, of oil now.
Mm.
And so that also would have done a thing. So like some people would have gotten very wealthy, but overall the country as at large would have suffered, right? So the other pressure point that I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
And then we got one more thing. Sorry. This is like all these things I got to just...
We're allowed to have theories. We're
Theories.
smart guys.
I talked about how the Houthis are in the mix, like Yemen and stuff like that, Saudi Arabia. Here is the next phase of what I think may happen.
Okay.
Guys, and it always gets worse. Whenever I'm talking...
Yeah, the sad part is sometimes your theories come true.
Yes.
And not the good ones.
No, not the good ones.
Not the world peace ones.
They're not the World Cup ones either.
No, not those.
This is the Strait of Hormuz, okay? Don't worry about that. I'm going to go to that strait.
Right.
This is the Bab al-Mandab Strait, okay?
That's a different strait.
This thing.
Mm-hmm.
This thing right here, okay? And what do people see as the country that's right here? That's Yemen.
Oh, wow.
Okay? And what's over here, just north? Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of using the strait, Saudi Arabia has been using the Bab al-Mandab Strait
That's right.
to get the oil up and through out into the high seas through Egypt.
That's right. That's right. I remember us talking about this. They were even building more pipelines to empty on that side of the country.
Exactly right.
Yes.
So what could happen now? The Houthi rebels could close the strait.
Oh my God! And who do the Houthis work for? Who's the Houthis?
The Iranians are backing them.
Woo! Man, Iran's just like, talk about 4D chess.
Yeah.
You know who's good at playing that? Take some tips from Iran.
It's so sad. It's so frustrating. We just keep walking into this thing. And that's why, Travi, I think
This is it.
very close.
Here we go.
World War III.
Whoa, what a simple prediction. And that's the end of that block. We'll end it there. No, wait. Seena, you have to just give us an AI summary of why you think this is the start of World War III. Because the Middle East is popping off for real?
It's popped more countries. Now they have Saudi Arabia
Yeah.
engaging and stuff. You have UAE taking like more offensive, not just defensive, like intercepting, but just like bombing things, right? Saudi Arabia bombing thing in Yemen, and then UAE inside of Iran, all these things happening. And then all you need really is China or Russia to do anything.
to jump in.
To jump it in any way.
And anywhere?
I think they're already in it to some extent, but
Because Russia is doing their thing in Europe.
yes. But I think this is like Oh my God.
Ooh,
we are on the precipice.
Okay.
Because now all these other countries are now going in against Iran. And all Iran needs is one other country to be like, we're with Iran. And then this is a world war.
Yeah.
And now Trump will use a tactical nuke to try to take out some facility inside of Iran. And then, nothing will change.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be it. Okay. Let's take a commercial break.
And now a word from our sponsor. Have you thought about what you're going to do during World War III?
When I was thinking about all of this in my head, it sounded much more coherent and fluid.
It was pretty coherent. We just covered, everything from July 4th till 10 days later when World War III starts. I think it was very concise. And in the next segment, I think we're going to talk about the one guy who could have stopped World War III.
Could have stopped it. Let's talk about it. All right. Let's take a quick break. This is the Foreign Report. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. Seena, Ghaznavi, Travis Irvine.
We just covered a very busy week.
It's World War III.
It's from the 250th anniversary of America to World War III.
Yeah, there we go.
Busy 10 days.
Everything could chill out.
I could use it.
Just relax. A lot of people were like, oh, I didn't know that much was going on. And now you have like a growing amount of anxiety in your body.
Yeah.
You're feeling stressed. I just want everyone to take a minute in through the nose for a 5 count.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this doubles as a moment of silence.
Lindsey Graham is dead.
Oh, no! The one man who could have stopped World War III.
I can't believe this guy's gone.
I know. He was always there.
It seems
Ever since I became an adult
and
started reading news, he was always there.
He's like the teapot from Beauty and the Beast.
I think he's more like the clock.
The clock?
Yeah,
Is it the clock?
Or the candle guy.
Yeah, maybe.
He could be any of them. He's such a little cartoon character.
Yeah, he just seems...
Who loves war.
He loves war.
Loved every war we got into.
Loves a lot of sex workers that he's kept. He's a small business supporter.
Yes, very much so. Supported a lot of college tuitions.
A lot of,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wonder what the economic impact has been of Lindsey Graham being closeted.
DC will never be the same.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of good jobs this
exactly.
week.
Apparently his it was heart failure, aortic dissection or tear in his aorta due to hardening arteries, which is probably because he was so healthy.
Yeah, lived a very healthy secret lifestyle and a very healthy not secret lifestyle.
Yeah, and apparently he went and inspected a drone factory.
See, and this is
Ukraine.
This is where my, again, we're a conspiracy comedy network, but the conspiracies around the timing of Lindsey Graham's death. I mean, when you read about the actual heart, it makes sense. He said he felt sick and then he didn't go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And with these, they're saying like you have hours.
If you're a man over 40 and you feel sick, ever, call a doctor.
I just went to my doctor, got my annual checkup. I'm quite healthy.
Yeah.
Got a little high blood pressure. I told him I had 5 Celsius that day. What do you want?
What do you want from me,
It's
Doc?
good for me.
Yeah. I'm swiping on Bumble. Let's go.
Let's go.
Is that what happens? Is that what you do there?
I don't know. Not in the office.
No. Anyway, Russia blew up that facility today. Then tonight,
that he spoke at.
Yeah,
because I sent you the clip. He's like he was going to do a bipartisan bill to get Putin to the peace table. It was going to be sanctions on Russia. He was like, that's what I was like so confused because Lindsey Graham, my whole life, has loved war.
Yes,
and then here's a clip of him saying we're going to end this war. We're getting Putin to the peace table. And then he goes home and dies, and then someone bombs the shit out of that drone facility that he was talking at.
Yeah.
So he's finally going to do something good, and everyone's just like, nah. That's where the conspiracies come from.
This is where also there's classic Mossad conspiracy.
And then the Iranians are claiming it. So the suspects are literally Iran, Russia, or Israel, I guess, because anytime Netanyahu goes on Meet the Press to praise someone, I'm like, he definitely killed that guy.
He killed the guy. It's a Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk, Lindsey Graham. Who else? It's like Netanyahu's like that serial killer who just can't not go back to the scene of the crime.
That's a Dexter move, right? So I think it's Mossad. I don't know. I think he's just a very unhealthy man.
Yeah, I think it reached that point. And it seems like he was under a lot of stress because Axios even reported that when he was getting sick the night before, he said to his staff, he was like, I can't die yet. I've got to get this Russia sanction bill through. I need the normalification of Saudi Arabia and Israel.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one? Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was another one. So it was like, for some reason, and that's where now my brain is like this, he was going to prevent World War III, and then someone blew up his little tiny unhealthy heart.
It was just like, also, why are we continuing to try to kill people in their 70s and 80s?
Seems very easy. Also, how are you failing at Mitch McConnell
Yeah.
over and over?
Like, why? They just a strong wind will blow these people right over. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Lindsey.
Okay.
First of all, his sister is going to hold his seat.
Which I love, because my joke to my friends in the group text was just, what if it's just Lindsey in a wig and drag? Like, hey, y'all, it's me, Darlene. Ham and biscuits, y'all. It's like, wait a minute.
So, he's been in Congress for so long.
Yeah, since the 90s, and then he became a senator. He was a congressman and then became a senator when Strom Thurmond died.
Strom Thurmond. And just look up Strom Thurmond. Yes. Just look him up.
What a career. What a career.
It's like it's like if Bob Ewell from To Kill a Mockingbird was a senator.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a deep cut.
It's like, please.
It's crazy that he ran for president in 1948.
That's what I'm saying.
And then lived till 2003.
It's just, he's ancient. He's brutally racist. And then who comes in after him? Hey, y'all!
He'll do.
So, obviously, he was also besties with John McCain. They worked on immigration reform.
Joe Lieberman. It was the three of them all doing threesomes together.
They were all very good
interviews.
friends.
They were doing interviews together. Yeah.
And they had this whole, path to citizenship. Today, this would be viewed as like a Zoran Mamdani immigration bill.
No, yeah.
This would be like a leftist, socialist immigration bill.
Lindsey Graham reached across the aisle,
as
they say. He was very good at reaching around.
But, I think it's because he knew John McCain was running for president. I think he was always friends with him, of course. But the thing that I just reading more about Lindsey, the senator, was that he did anything to stay relevant. And he ran for president in 2016.
Which was hilarious.
I remember.
He was at the kiddie table debate, because that was the year's 17 candidates, and they threw him down there. And they were just like, all right.
Can I play you a clip of him
please.
during, he's on CNN talking about Donald Trump.
He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent my party. He doesn't represent the values that the men and women who wear the uniform are fighting for.
Graham would drop out before the first 2016 vote was cast. And when Trump entered the White House, Graham reversed, reaching out and ultimately becoming one of his closest allies and golf buddies.
So
he didn't stick to that.
He did not.
He didn't stick to that at all.
So then he's besties with Trump during his first term. January 6th happens.
Yeah, and then he flipped again.
And he was just like,
Count me out.
This is terrible.
I was watching that speech live. I was like, finally, someone with a spine.
And then Trump comes back.
Okay.
And he's right back next to him. Best friends with Trump.
Just motorboating it.
So my question for you, and I think the him being closeted is like honestly the least interesting thing for me.
Sure.
I find it's so strange how successful he was and still dramatically flipped to extremes on his politics and his opinions.
Yeah.
Versus what maybe a different politician where if they were just middling the whole time, they may have gotten cooked and kicked out of office or, beaten in a future thing. So, can you tell me what it is you think makes a politician successful when they just dramatically go from one end to the other just because it's relevant and it's the du jour way of being in power?
Yeah, I think he just had a lot of power for backers. And I don't mean that in the talking about the sex workers. Any hilarious another joke that we could have made. I mean, he was a military lawyer. And again, we talked about he was always pro whatever war was about to happen.
Yeah.
And that benefited both sides, right? I mean, if you're Obama's president, you need a guy who's going to help you take care of a conflict. Lindsey Graham. Yeah. Even when he was on the judiciary. I mean, again, he's a lawyer, a very smart lawyer, which is weird to say. But he helped Elena Kagan get across the finish line for her appointment during the Obama administration.
Yep.
Yeah, he set her up for some hilarious line about just where she was on Christmas.
Yeah.
And she's Jewish, so she's like, well, like a lot of Jews, I was probably at a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's like, so this is why today we were just talking about this with our esteemed boss, Henry Zebrowski. Please Venmo him to get through the strait.
Yeah. If you want to go through the Strait of Hormuz,
Yes.
you got to pay LPN CEO Henry Zebrowski.
Yes. But there's nothing straight about Lindsey Graham. Come on, folks. We're teeing him up. And that's what we were talking. It's just like everyone's doing Kamala. All these Democrats putting out pro Lindsey Graham statements just because he was so good to work with.
Yeah.
And I think to the point of your question, like, how does someone like that survive, especially coming out of a state like South Carolina? Like, I was always surprised someone didn't just come in and primary him.
Yeah.
Right. Talk about the obvious here. Right. But I think he had so many powerful people that he worked for their policies, their desired policies, whether it's the neocons who want a war, or it's more your establishment Democrats who just want to stabilize things. I think he just worked for all the right people. And so they kept him in power for as long as they did.
That's a great, I like that answer.
I mean, that's what politicians got to do. You got to kind of work with everyone.
Yeah.
And he did that.
But it's, I guess, for the thing that keeps standing out is just the amount of effort it takes to say, someone's awful. It's like the J.D. Vance, he's America's Hitler, and then he's like, running mate. For me, maybe it's just my own naivete of just like, it'd be exhausting to do that.
Yeah.
And like, I can understand why some politicians, we have centrist Democrats that do this all the time, that try to like weave their way in through one side and another and not offend or anything like that. And they're not as successful as Lindsey Graham was.
No, they're not. No, I mean, and he was going to sail to re-election again this year.
So it's like, what level, like, you can't lie a little. No. You got to lie a lot. Is that the lesson?
I mean, there's no bigger lie in the game of the Senate than Lindsey Graham. You can't spell Lindsey without lie. L-I-E, it's in there. You check it out.
Something's in there.
So, yeah, he, what a legacy. Obviously, we wanted to talk about him because he was so foreign policy involved.
Yes.
I mean, again, just every war, every military action, he was all over it.
Yeah.
And again, you kind of see that benefit both sides, which is why he was around for so long. And there's a lot of people saying they're glad he's dead. I just find it crazy that he was literally about to like fight for peace, and then he drops dead.
And then he's immediately dead.
It's just like, well, you should have stuck to the hits, bro. This ain't time to switch up your Vegas show.
Not a good time.
Yeah.
Turns out, July 21st, the GOP in South Carolina is going to nominate candidates, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's going to be a runoff on August 25th to see who's going to do the general.
And that's going to be messy.
Yeah.
I think you have people like Nancy Mace.
Oh, God,
who's like a bigot in so many ways, but she also supported releasing the Epstein files.
Like, I know, but Nancy Mace is not, there's not going to be a Nancy Mace in this mix.
But there could be a Nikki Haley. Maybe she pops up, go from governor to Senate.
I mean, who knows? I don't know.
The
current governor's termed out, or he's
Henry
leaving.
McMaster's. Yeah.
He could be it.
It could be it. I mean, maybe they bring back Strom Thurmond's ghost.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm at it again.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I think. McMaster, the governor. I don't know who else it could be in the mix here, but they're gonna have. Their whole Plattner issue. They gotta find another.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, just rush in somebody else.
They gotta rush in somebody else.
This guy's also an oyster farmer. Let's see how it goes. Right. Well, the one thing I do know they're going to do in the Senate is, again...
Honestly, they could bring Graham Plattner to South Carolina and be like, he's
one of us.
He's one of us.
And then those allegations just cruise him to the top of the Republican primary. I'll just add that... Again, we talked about Lindsey Graham. He was going to do a bipartisan bill with Blumenthal out of Connecticut for this Russia sanctions bill. That looks like it's still going to happen. So if somebody assassinated Lindsey Graham to stop that bill, it's still going to happen. And they're going to name it for him, which I thought was interesting. It's the Lindsey Graham Bill to Quell Aggressors. LGBTQA. What a legacy, baby.
What a legacy.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Get that bill. And don't forget to Venmo Foreign Report.
All right. Next story I want to cover is a little follow-up on the Ankara NATO summit. And the big thing that we talked about was Zelensky was going to be trying to get air support for these Patriot missiles. Patriot interceptors were dwindling.
That's wild. And that's literally what Lindsey Graham was in Ukraine for, to talk about.
And so here's what happened. There was a huge announcement of $50 billion in defense industry deals. There was, quote, new multinational partnerships in surveillance, space, long-range fires, command and control, air platforms, submarines, and massive drone and counter-drone marketplace. And here's the big thing that happened. Ukraine now gets a license to make their own Patriot interceptors.
Wow. So that did go through.
It did go through. That's one of the big things that happened. But here's the problem. Yes, they got the license, but you still have to make them.
Oh.
And I believe Japan has a license, and who
The
else?
Islamic Republic of Japan?
Yeah, Islamic Republic. Yeah,
Right, that's what it's called now.
yeah. People were texting me about that. They were like,
It's so dumb.
"Hey, is Cosmo converting?"
That's what happened. Trump, I got two people. They're great people, Seena and Cosmo, and together they are making a new country.
Japan has this license as well. It takes years to spin these up.
Yeesh, yeah.
And like they should have done this. Yes, by the way, they tried to do this way back in the beginning of the war, and the United States. And this is not just a Trump thing. This is like a United States position. Remember, because Biden was in office first, and we did not give them this license first. I think it just seems ridiculous why we wouldn't do that. That would have helped us. Our case would have given them more autonomy. So that was one big thing that I wanted to cover from the summit. That this Patriot interceptor thing, which there's like a global shortage now. Like, we don't have a bunch of these things anymore.
Gotcha. So somebody just needs to they got to make more.
They're going to make more, and the Ukrainians are going to make more of these things eventually. But I don't know. How long is this thing going to last? They got to spin up an entire industry now. And who knows? Russia could attack the supply chain of those places that feed into it. But again, this is like a huge deal for them to be able to make these things.
Wow.
Next story, Russia cyber attacks across Europe.
Boy, Russia's really active after murdering Lindsey Graham.
After blowing his heart, making him eat a giant hamburger.
And then do
Clogging-
poppers all night
Yeah.
with some hot young things. Anyway, we get it.
After a series of cyber attacks, some were thwarted, some not, across Europe. France has decided it's had enough and has summoned the Russian ambassador to answer some questions.
Wait, what?
Imagine you're just having your croissant.
This is like when the Democrats send a stern letter to the Trump administration.
They're like, oh, look,
Excusez-moi.
excuse me.
Excusez-moi.
What did you think you were doing?
Pardonnez-moi. You can say excusez-moi or pardonnez-moi.
That's good.
They're both
Thank
French.
you. They imposed sanctions on 9 people and 4 entities and claimed that responsibility for the campaign, which they say was orchestrated by the FBS, Russia's intelligence and security agency. And of course, they're not alone. The UK and the EU have also announced sanctions on them. According to the French foreign minister, they said the attacks targeted government ministries, companies, and service operators with the aim of gathering intelligence or disrupting operations. He cited attacks on rail infrastructure in Poland as one example of the alleged sabotage. So, super interesting to cover this particular story. Why? Because France won the other nuclear power in the world. And it's like the sleepy one we never talk about.
Right.
And they're also the home of where, like, basically all of Europe's good AI stuff. They have data centers, they have AI, all that stuff is in France. So they're the jewel of the EU, and they're the centerpiece of this thing. And so every action that Russia does is a form of communication.
Right.
And so this happened after Ankara and stuff like that. So let's see what ends up happening. Maybe they pressure the EU to do something, or they're just trying to escalate this thing even more.
Right. Do you think this is like Russia's death rattle almost? Like they sense that the end is near for them in Ukraine with all these moves that NATO and the U.S. and everyone else are making?
I don't think you could ever count them out. I think a death rattle too. We assume a death rattle in like a video game is like the last thing, like
Sure.
the very,
Well, almost last thing.
A death rattle.
It's literally your last chance.
But a death rattle could last years.
That's right.
And that's the thing we can't really tell.
Yeah.
But we do know, again, from last week, Russia's losing. They're losing people all the time. And these are moves that they have to make. We'll see what ends up happening.
All right.
World Cup update?
let's get a little piece of positive news. Do not look up. I want to talk about, we don't know who's winning right now between France and Spain. I just want to talk about how fun it was. I've never been to a World Cup game before. Thank you again. Foreign Report. We did it. Going to that game is the first game I've ever gone to. I don't know if I'll ever get to go to another one ever unless we want to drop thousands and thousands of dollars, go to Portugal in 2030.
Yeah.
But the final teams, I want to say, it's France, Spain, England, Argentina. This is where it gets so good. This is where the world sport gets so good. All four of these teams deserve and could be the winner of the final trophy. But it's just so crazy to go from 48 teams where you had some cool stories like Cape Verde and Curacao, even Haiti being in there, Scotland, where all the Scots came and drank Boston dry, just stuff like that. It's been a fun. I was skeptical coming into this World Cup, and I had so much fun, and it's been so much fun to watch it. So thank you for taking me to a game, and then also, the final game. By the time we record next week, we will know the winner of the World Cup.
Oh, is that right?
All four of these countries, England, Argentina, France, Spain. They're all so good right now.
It's going to be, I think, a really exciting game. We've enjoyed watching the games as a family. My kids enjoy watching the games.
It's fun.
I will say my son started saying Messi after the Argentina game.
Oh, he wasn't talking about his room?
No, he was not. My little 2-year-old's going around singing Messi or Jalen Brunson. Those are the two names
that's great.
he yells
Get him
out.
those jerseys.
Yeah.
Hello. Birthday season's coming up.
It's exactly right.
That's great.
Anyways, I'm excited to see what happens.
Me too. It's been way more fun than I thought it would have been.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, it's the JD Vance Corner.
What?
Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena Ghaznavi, Travis Irvine. Listen, this is it, folks. What a great show
Meaty
we've
show
had so far. I think it's only fitting that we end it with our favorite.
Give him a chance, it's JD Vance. No, wait, he sucks.
Club remix, ladies and gentlemen. Bam, bam, bam. Club remix, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We are remixing it because it's been a meaty show. It's a full show.
Yeah.
We'll keep the JD Vance Corner brief, but I do want to give folks some updates. As you know, I was just in Ohio, the motherland of both myself and JD Vance.
Hold it up for that camera.
Yes,
what are you holding
absolutely.
up?
Well, this is a physical newspaper. You know.
What is that?
Well, my father.
It's a physical newspaper.
He keeps the old Columbus Dispatches
Can I
for
touch
me
it?
to go
Can
through.
I touch
Yeah,
it?
check it out. This is how news used to go through.
Oh,
This is
feels
how,
so weird. Oh, my hands are dirty.
Now they're
My
inky.
hands
You
are
gotta
dirty.
watch it. Well, don't rub it.
Does anyone have, Adam, do you have a wipe? Do you have a wipe, please?
There's no wipes here, so you got to wipe it with the paper.
I don't.
Just wipe it with the other side, the clean part of the paper.
Clean part of there's a clean.
Look,
Anyway, sorry,
I was
go
very
ahead.
excited because my dad saved this for me. This was fun. The USA Today newspapers out of Ohio did a great write-up about Pope versus JD Vance. This is from the spring, but I had to pull it in here because it is just such a fun update.
Yeah.
In terms of everything that we've talked about. Obviously, our episode where we did all JD Vance corners for an entire episode traumatized the audience. That's why I want to keep it brief from now on. But it's just fun because they just compare statements between the Pope and JD Vance. And it's like, I'm not Catholic, you're not Catholic. But if you're a Catholic, maybe choose your fighter, and your fighter's either a fake Catholic or the Pope.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this was a great read where they just separated the actual Catholic theories that the Pope cites and then whatever the hell JD Vance
Oh,
is
they just
saying.
dunked on JD.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, that's
but they
good.
did in like a factual, like, here's what he said. It's a he said, he said. Ed Larson joke, classic. But I always appreciate going home and being reminded of how much JD sucks from there. And then this is another one. Somebody sent me this. We were talking about the Supreme Court last week.
Yep.
A lot of big decisions came through, and this kind of flew over my head as well. But thanks to our friends over at the Ohio Capital Journal out of Columbus, Ohio, part of the state's newsroom, nonprofit news organization. One of the cases that went through was a 6-3, and I know the numbers get very confusing, but this was 6-3 along party lines that said that parties can coordinate now with candidates.
Yeah.
And this is a big deal because for years and years, even when you had the Citizens United decision come through and you have super PACs can spend unlimited money because money is free speech now, according to the Supreme Court, even then you couldn't coordinate between these big super PACs that have dark money and you couldn't coordinate with a candidate. Well, this case that was decided this month changes that, and it started in 2022 with J.D. Vance's Senate campaign.
Oh, God.
It's so bizarre. I remember this all happening in real time back in 2022. But the way this started is because J.D. Vance was floundering as a Senate candidate. Nobody liked him. Everyone was like, your book sucks. And there was also 5 other Republican candidates running in the primary. Peter Thiel threw $15 million into a super PAC to get J.D. over the finish line, not just in the Republican primary, but then in the general election running against Democrat Tim Ryan. And everyone was saying at the time was like, there seems to be a lot of coordination. Like they were literally using the same ads and same talking points, right? And so it seemed like this $50 million from Peter Thiel in the super PAC was basically coordinating with the J.D. Vance's campaign, which is not allowed.
Yeah. Justice Brett Kavanaugh, in writing for the 6-3 majority, placed significant emphasis on political parties' First Amendment rights. He said, quote, "The Constitution's text matters," he wrote. "Contrary to the text, the political party coordinated expenditure limitations directly abridge the freedom of speech of political parties."
Right.
Oh, wah, political parties.
Yeah. So this changed the game because J.D. Vance's campaign's defense was not, oh, we're not doing that. We're not coordinating. Their defense was to sue, to challenge the law itself and said, we should be allowed to do that because you're abridging our freedom of speech. And then, yes, Brett Kavanaugh and the conservatives on the court agreed with him 4 years later.
And I think the last term, there was that Ted Cruz case where they allowed candidates to loan money to the campaign and get paid back after the campaign is over at whatever length of time. So you basically can create this complete financial system for yourself.
Yes.
Now you can coordinate. Now you're your own bank, basically, as a political candidate.
Yeah, and you can coordinate. You can throw that money into a PAC, and then it can coordinate with your campaign. Again, it used to just be at least even an imaginary wall between these PACs and the campaign itself. And now that's just gone. And we're going to the midterms, and this is now law. But it's just so crazy. It started in 2022 with J.D. Vance's campaign because everyone smelled what him and Peter Thiel were cooking. And then their defense was, well, we should be allowed to cook together, actually. And the Supreme Court, here they are. Reliable as always, money is free speech. And last but not least, speaking of money, I don't have a lot of it. Seena, you're an average. I mean, you're maybe upper middle class.
In L.A., I'm middle class.
Yeah, okay. Yes, right. In Pittsburgh, you'd be.
I'm shake.
Yeah.
Shake.
You're Andrew Carnegie Jr. over there. Well, this makes J.D. even less relatable. God, I can't. Sometimes he owns himself and he doesn't know it.
Yeah.
Like, this is a 2028 ad in and of itself. This is J.D. He went on a podcast and they asked him about the affordability crisis. Remember when he went on The View?
Is this Mike Rowe's podcast like the Dirty Jobs guy?
I can't even tell. This is all over my algorithm. Let's just roll this beautiful bean footage of J.D. Vance owning himself.
Like, my life is, totally transformed. I don't go to the grocery store anymore. People go to the grocery store for me. Most of my meals, like when I cook a meal, it's like I love to cook, actually. Big baker. I like to cook for my kids as a special occasion, but I don't have to cook anymore because I've got an army of people who are willing to like cook me my food. My life is so weird. I fly around on a 757, no more TSA lines for me and the kids. It's so weird, but it can become the sort of thing that if you internalize it, you start to be an entitled asshole. Yeah.
You start. I like, the host is just like,
You're talking to the Dirty Jobs guy. The guy that
he went and did dirty jobs and he didn't have to.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, isn't that insane? I almost want to play it again just to gawk at it more. But
God.
If you want to hear it again, folks, it's literally, you can rewind it. And JD actually said all of that out loud into a microphone on a podcast. God. And he thinks this won't come back to haunt him ever. What an entitled asshole.
Dude.
My life is totally changed.
So different.
I find a plan.
No TSA lines.
People cook my dinner. I like to cook, but I don't cook.
ForeignReportShow.com, the Foreign Report LPN at gmail.com.
Send us Venmo, get through the strait.
Send Henry a Venmo if you want to traverse the Strait of Hormuz.
Mm-hmm.
And sign up for our newsletter, ForeignReportShow.com. We're having a great time, guys. We'll be back next week.
When World War III will be over already, actually. We've already won.
Perfect conflict. We'll see you next time.